Last night's vice presidential debate, likely the last debate before the presidential election. Senator J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz were largely civil to one another, but there were stark contrasts between their views on everything from immigration to the economy and who is the larger threat to American democracy. We're joined now by Democratic National Committee Chair Jaime Harrison for more on the debate and his reaction. It was civil. It was cordial. But there is daylight between the two parties.
A lot of daylight. You know, Tim Walz, who I've known for almost 20 years now, was definitely Minnesota nice last night.
It was a little wobbly in the beginning, though, Jaime. Were you worried?
But you know, listen, on any debate stage like that, when you get on for the first time, you can have the butterflies. But when it really counted, when he really started getting into the issues, we saw the differences between him and J.D. Vance. And J.D. Vance was as slick as an eel last night. Lying, every time he opened his mouth, a lie fell out. I mean, on abortion, on climate change, on all of these issues, gun violence, right? But what was really, really important, there are two moments that stick out for me. The first moment is on the discussion on abortion.
Yeah.
And the governor basically saying, you know, for a woman to have control of her body should not have to be dependent on which state she lives in, right? Yeah. Men can control their own bodies. It doesn't matter. The three of us can do whatever we want with our bodies. Yeah. But why can't Gayle? Why can't women have complete control over their bodies? Yeah. Why should they have to ask Donald Trump or some right-wing Supreme Court in order to do so? You know,
Jaime, we can sit here and talk about the policy differences, and political scientists think about that, strategists do, but when I go out and talk to voters, a lot of people are just picking up on tone, style, presentation, and you're right, J.D. Vance was a smoother operator here. J.D. Vance or Tim Walz came in, he was the most liked candidate, arguably, on any ticket. Most favorable. Do you think he stuck the landing on that?
Well, listen, when looking at the Google Trends last night, they weren't looking at who was smoother on the debate stage. They were looking at abortion. It was the #1 search topic. Every state, all 50 states, #1 search topic, because that is what really matters to people. Can you control your own bodies? Do you have freedom in this country? There's only one party that is fighting for the freedom of all of Americans, and that's the Democratic Party.
Let's talk about the campaign. I expect you to say it's going well.
It is.
That she's going to win. I expect you to say that. But recent polling shows that there's a disconnect with many black men. I actually know some of them that say they're going to go for Trump. Is the party doing anything to re-engage that part of the electorate?
Well,
or are you worried about it?
I'm not worried about it, but you know, you always worry about every election, but you make sure you're not taking anybody for granted. You make sure that you're talking to people about the issues that are important. For the last 3.5 years, I've been going crisscrossing this country, having discussions with black men, with Latino men, about the issues that are important to them, about security, making sure that they can protect their families, economic security, but also physical security.
What about voter suppression? Many people worried about that.
Voter suppression is a huge issue, and we should worry about it because it's something, part of the tactics that the Republican Party has. I, as Democratic Party chair, want everybody to vote, and I want them to vote Democratic. But I believe that fundamentally everyone should have the right to vote. We have built at the DNC the largest voter protection program that we've ever had in our history, because we know part of the tactics, we see it in Georgia, we see it in a lot of other states, of the Republican Party to put up barriers to make it more difficult for people to vote. If you, and I want to say to, I don't know where the camera is, but
all over.
Just look at Vlad.
But I want folks to understand this.
Yes.
I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent. You run into any trouble at the ballot box, you go to your precinct and they say that you can't vote, text VOTE to 70888. We have lawyers on the ready. And again, I don't care your party affiliation. Every eligible American should have their right to vote count.
Jaime, let me just ask you, Vance was fact-checked on the mistruths he was spreading about Haitian immigrants eating pets in Springfield, Ohio. Do you think the damage, though, has already been done with that type of rhetoric? And how do you, in the last couple of weeks of this race, combat that?
Well, it's racist, it's bigoted. Think about this. To lie on people who are your constituents, These people are legal in Ohio, and to lie about them, I don't think there's a bigger slight that you can put on somebody that is supposedly a public servant. And Vance stood on that stage and lied about those people, and there are consequences to that. When little kids have to go to school and are scared to go to school because of bomb threats, when businesses have to shutter because they're scared of people attacking them. Yeah. And the Republican mayor said that's a lie. The Republican governor said that's a lie. Said, Senator, stop saying it. And he continued to do that and looked in the camera and said, you know what? Yeah, I'm lying. I'm trying to make a point. No, we don't do that in America.
Jaime Harrison, thank you very much for coming by.
Thank you for
and have Governor Walz come by as well. I think that's part of the narrative, which Vance has been on TV a lot. We'd love to see the governor.
He doesn't need to be nervous. He can come by.
Exactly. Come on by.